Hello everyone. Welcome to today's video for this week. You might actually see two videos this week. I know, crazy ideas. So today we're going to be just talking about parachute. So obviously MAGPIE, is going to be in an aeroshell like this. This is V2. No, this is V1, sorry. I'm currently working on V4. So you should see that in probably next week's video. So we are re-entering the atmosphere, and then we are going to deploy a drag chute, and then our main chute. And so this calculator is just to basically determine what we can fit within the actual aeroshell itself. Of course, we have external factors. So we have our structure of the aeroshell. This isn't just a dimensionless thickness. This is a real thickness, so we can't just be like, oh, this same diameter of this fits. And of course we also have our probe and all the probe accessories and the drag chute and the communications unit and the power unit, and our propulsion to actually do our retrograde burn to allow for the aeroshell to re-enter the atmosphere on its own. So how do we do that? Well, you just make a very simple calculation. And so we have Rocketman parachutes. These are pretty amateur-ish parachutes. They are used professionally, but not crazily. And these are they're not super realistic, but they're like 90% of the way there. And so from this we can get rough estimates of the size and the structure needed. And I would imagine that for a Martian mission, you could have a parachute of basically the same size, of the same durability and everything. Because you could use better materials, so it might be smaller and stronger, but it's going to be more expensive. Or you might need more, thicker materials, but again, that trade-off of that price. So I imagine it's going to be pretty much a one-to-one, and that's what I'll be using it as assumption. But I've also done back-of-the-hand math, and all of these should survive when they are deployed after the drogue chute. The drogue chute should also be very much able to survive. It's specifically stated by Rocketman to be within the parameters that I would expect. So what am I talking about? So first we have some basic back-of-the-napkin math of volume in centimeters cubed. We have a basic cylinder, because again, like let's say we're going to talk about this top half of the aeroshell, not the heat shield side, the top. I could say this is just a box, this is just a cylinder, this is just a cone. Well, each one of these are going to have separate factors, and these all include a safety margin of structure and everything else. So these are realistic bounds to have the size of the parachute. So as we can find for the cylinder, we get about 6,000 cubic. For the box, it's pretty bad, and for the cone, it's the best. So we'll be using the cone because, again, it will fit within that in our realms. So these are the two more standard parachutes. These are non-ballistic reentry. And the big difference is the CD, or the coefficient of drag. I've got this equation here. All you really need to know is that, our CD has a decent effect. And that matters when you account for your area of the parachute. So, well, we've got some checks here. So what's the biggest that we can use? Looks like 26 meters squared for our 0.97, whereas here we can use 23, but it's over double the coefficient drag, so that is far better. It's not like this is double the performance, that's not how the equation works, but that will reduce the speed by maybe 5 meters per second, which is like maybe 10 miles per hour, which is pretty significant. And then we have ballistic. This is designed for Mach 2, and that is when the drogue chute would be deployed. The thing about these is, for the diameter, it takes up way more mass. I'm not sure why this is doing this. Ignore that. But let's say we compare, so we have a 6-foot one here, and the area is going to be 2.6, and we see the same. Okay, well, let's look at the volume of this. It's 580, and yeah, it's about 6 times the size for the Mach 2. So that's why we have the drogue and the main chute, is to allow for the drogue to be deployed. It saves total volume as opposed to trying to do like a huge probe size. Don't mind that noise. So we obviously are going to go with the largest here, which gives us 23.6 meters squared, and that is including the slip hole. And then for the fit checks on the drogue section, I have it include our selected chute. And as you can see, in the cone assumption, you can actually fit a drogue chute. It is only a diameter, or a foot in diameter, but that will be plenty enough to act as a drogue chute, and it will help take off this aeroshell. This aeroshell will also have 2 other cones. Again, this is not the final product. And one is for communication. The communication section will be taken off and deployed the drag chute through that. And then that will take off the second cone, which will take off the main chute. So when it takes off that second cone, it takes off this cone. It's not explained well, but it'll be explained better later. And so from that, we'll have our proper chute. So there we go. Well, we've got a 18-foot diameter main chute and a 1-foot diameter drogue chute. Simple as that. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day. Bye-bye.